Hello friends, welcome to State of the Stash 29 for March of 2025. I'm Shauna and this is my special series where I track all the yarn that comes in and out of my stash in an effort to use more yarn than I bring in. So like I said, today is going to be covering March of 2025. There are links down below to all the projects that I'm going to talk about, any yarn that I show, and there's also a comment box. So if you have any questions or comments for me, please leave those down below and I'm happy to hear those, read those, and answer you back. Let's see. March was a interesting month for me. I just have very little to show you, so I think this is going to be a very short episode. The first thing that I finished in March were my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. These are the Comfort Core socks by Summer Lee in the Desert Vista Dyeworks color Zombody Green Decomp. These socks used a total of 80 grams out of my stash, a whole 80. The next thing is also a finished object, and it's a big one. I finished my Do You Yoke 2 by Zanete Knits, and I used two separate fingering weight yarns for this. It is a full-length sweater, because we all know I do not do crop sweaters, and this used a total of 446 grams out of my stash, which is awesome. That is nearly 4.5 skeins. You know what this made me think of is before, when I had just been buying yarn with no plan in mind, no specific pattern, I was buying 4 skeins of yarn. Now I'm thinking I need to have 5 on hand just in case, because obviously 4 would have not cut it. And even on my, what sweater was it that I did 3/4 length sleeves? Well, 2 of them. I wanted full length sleeves on my souffle, which is a mohair sweater, and then on my marled, I know I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the striped sweater that I did several months ago. I ended up having to do 3/4 length sleeves on that too. So I'm very curious to know. Normally I knit a 38 to 40 inch bust sweater. I usually have to add length. If that's similar to your measurements, I'd be curious to know, how much yarn do you buy for a, we'll say fingering weight sweater, because that's what I normally knit, if you don't have a pattern in mind. This being a State of the Stash episode, it's probably good to note that maybe I shouldn't be buying yarn for a sweater I don't have a plan for. We'll try and keep that in mind. So that's it. I had no yarn come into my stash. I should have had yarn come into my stash. My March Cuddle Bums box, if you remember from February, I showed you a box of 28 minis. My March box got lost. So Jody from Cuddle Bums has sent me a replacement. So hopefully April I will get 2 boxes worth, and I'm going to have to try and make up the difference. We'll see if that happens. So overall for 2025, at the end of last month, I was at positive 844 grams, or just about 8.5 skeins extra in my stash. And with the socks and the sweater finished, I'm now currently at positive 318 grams. So I'm getting down there. I'm feeling good about that. But those Cuddle Bum minis might do me in. That being said, if you remember, and I forgot to put my little box up there, January State of the Stash, I had showed you a bunch of worsted weight wool of the Andes. There, we'll just put this up there because that's pretty much what was in there. It doesn't look as nice as the box, and I'm afraid it might fall. I don't think it can fit behind the couch though. Anyway, I think I'm going to cast on this project today, which means hopefully being worsted weight should knit up quicker, I think. I don't know. And hopefully soon I might be in the negatives. That being said, I have ordered some advents and I'm doing my best. I think, to have less advents than last year, but I don't know. I might honestly end up with the same amount because so far I've ordered the Cuddle Bums, 20 grams plus a full skein, like I had last year. And then Stitchin' with Yarn, I believe is the name. She's not a new dyer, but this is her first year doing Advent, and she came out with a Charlie Brown Christmas, a Snoopy theme, and I could not resist. I've looked at a lot of her dyeing yarn pictures on Instagram, and they look gorgeous. I was a little hesitant just because she puts in there that it's going to be a lot of like variegated and speckled colors, which I love. Just oftentimes I find for a project where you want everything to be cohesive, like a large where you blend all the colors together, sometimes those variegated I think don't look as nice, but I will find a project for it, I have no doubt, and I'm super excited. The bag that comes with it is Snoopy. It's got little Snoopy on top of the house, and the stitch marker is a Snoopy on top of the house, and I love it. I cannot wait. I've also pre-ordered the Freckled Whimsy sock Advent, and I will definitely do the, oh, what's the other one? Cozy Knitter. I think that, hopefully that's it. But you know what? If somebody comes out with another one and I cannot resist the theme, I might do it. I just might. I don't know. Advents are so tempting to me. I don't know what it is. I love them. I guess I'm going to embrace what I love, but also I want to use more yarn than I buy, so it's hard. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to tell you, I haven't gone over these in a while, but I do track, so I have a spreadsheet where I track how much yarn comes in and out every month, and then I compare that to the year. But then I also have the stash spreadsheet from Ravelry, which those two things differ, and they differ for many reasons. The Ravelry stats will change, like if I get a skein of yarn in, we'll say like my Desert Vista Dyeworks, I get this skein in, I count it as 100 grams just off the bat. But when I go to actually knit it, I weigh the yarn. We'll say this was 108 grams, and I think that's very close to what it was. And so then I go in and I change that amount from 100 to 108. So it looks like I'm actually gaining 8 grams, when in truth, no more yarn actually came into my stash. I'm just better accounting for it. And also old projects. So as I revive whips, I start weighing that yarn or entering it in when it wasn't entered. There's all kinds of reasons. So that being said, the February Cuddle Bums, this is what I have left of that. So I did not weigh each individual mini because they're supposed to be 5 grams. I weighed like the first 2 or 3, and I found them all to be about 5.2 grams. So I took what was left, and so I just entered it. It was, I believe it was 140 grams. Is that right? I have it here. Let me look. Yes, 140 grams is what I counted in as my February Cuddle Bums, because that's 28 times 5, 140. So when I was done and I magic caked what was left, I weighed this and it was 52.9 grams. So the difference between 140 and that, what 87, I think. I'm going off of memory. I didn't just do that math. So if it's wrong, that's why. But so I took and I adjusted the Ravelry amount, but this didn't come out of my in and out spreadsheet because it won't come out until my Cozy Memories blanket is done. So does that make sense at all? How those two numbers are different? It's kind of hard to explain, but just know that there are reasons why it's different, and I don't think it's just my accounting errors. It could be though. So anyway, let's see, what I was going to tell you is my February skeins in my stash were 1,171. For March, 1,165. So I actually went down by 6 skeins. That is great. My February grams, 89,861, or 198 pounds. Yes, I have over 198 pounds of yarn in my house because I don't count minis. March, though, we went down to 89,253. or 197 pounds. So I lost a whole pound of yarn from my stash. Yay! Oh, it's going to be a slow and long process, guys. So that was a difference of 608 grams. And again, yards, my February yards were 372,090, and they went down to 3,069. No, I didn't say that right. 369,391, which was a difference of negative 2,699 yards. I almost said grams. So yes, I'm making progress. I think that is the very first time that I've ever been able to show a reduction on my Ravelry stash page, which feels so good. And I'm thinking, I don't fully know why. Obviously this was 4.5 skeins out, and my socks would make it around 5. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It's not exactly how it should be adding up in my head, but it is what it is. So that's why I don't tell you those numbers every time, but I do think it's interesting, especially the pound, I think is the most impactful. And actually it was Karen of Bobblehead Knits who started telling you about hers in pounds, and I think that's brilliant because to me it makes more sense to have pounds instead of grams because it's something that I can visualize. So I have more yarn than how much I weigh. Let's put it in terms of that. Oh, that'd be a good goal. Let's have less yarn than how much I weigh. Except I've been on a diet, so that means I need even less yarn. Anyway, so that is my March 2025 stats. I think I forgot to tell you at the beginning. I'm recording this on April the 6th, but it probably won't go up until I think April the 11th is Friday, because I'm putting out a podcast episode today, a regular one, and so I'll put this out so you have something in between to watch. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you are finding inspiration here for your own stash busting or stash acquisition endeavors, whichever you're doing. I'm always curious to hear how you're doing on that. Down below, please let me know. Are you acquiring yarn? Are you hoping to use more yarn than you bring in? What are your goals? Because we can all be inspired by one another. I hope you're having a great day. I will talk to you soon. Bye.